Well, with half the grass dead from the summer heat, let's try to spruce up the yard by slapping some stain on the fence. Also, I bought this house pre-lived in, and by the looks of this very gray cedar fence, I don't believe the prior owners ever stained it. These prices took my breath away, and with 100 feet of fence on just one side of the backyard, this is not going to be cheap unless we can make our own stain. Fortunately, I still drive one of those dirty combustion engine people haulers. I practically have an endless supply of fence stain, given that the main ingredient is used engine oil. And the dirtier, the better. Since we intend to spray some of the mixture on the fence, we will want to strain the dirty oil. An old cotton shirt should work great as a filter. However, this can take some time given how thick it is. So we are going to go ahead and mix everything up first and then strain the mixture. Keep in mind, you could just slap the old oil on the fence with a brush, however this could take significantly longer. For our mixture, we use 3 parts oil, 1 part paint thinner, and 1 part diesel. Now this combination seems like it would be a fire hazard, so we ended up performing a little test towards the end of the video to see how flammable this stuff is. The great thing about using diesel is the cost, at least relative to paint thinner. However, the not so great thing about diesel is the smell. After being applied, the smell tends to linger for about a week or so. You can certainly substitute all the diesel for paint thinner, but this will add to the cost. Also, would not recommend using this mixture on decks, as you probably don't want oil on your shoes and in your house. Also, I think this goes without saying, but do not use gasoline. Be sure to store your diesel in yellow cans and gasoline in red, so you don't mix them up. After giving everything a quick stir, we filter the liquid, and as you can see, this is going a lot faster now. Next, let's test the color real quick on a pale piece of wood. The main way to adjust the color is to change the ratio of used oil to solvents. Use more oil, less solvents for a darker color, and vice versa. Again, the main reason why we are using solvents is so that the mixture will flow easier through a sprayer. These buckets are great for mixing, but not so much for storage. Not sure if the paint thinner weakened the bucket, or if the bucket was just old, but ended up forming a crack which led to an oil spill in the garage. Fortunately, we had some spare sawdust laying around from a recent tree killing from the backyard. Kitty litter can also be used to clean up spills like this. Also, it doesn't hurt to use a little bit of degreaser. If you do plan to store this stuff, I'd recommend using a metal bucket or just using the jugs that the new oil came in. While we are on the topic of oil, for those that drive one of those clean, non-combustion engine vehicles, most auto parts stores recycle old oil, and most are okay with giving you that sweet, dirty juice. Before we apply the stain, let's see how our homemade fence stain compares to some of that expensive store-bought stain. So it looks like the homemade stuff is a little darker when compared in the shade. Let's take this out in the sunlight to see how it compares. I have to say, in the sun, they look really similar to each other. We ended up applying the majority of the stain to the fence using a small hand pump sprayer. Though the sprayer worked pretty well for the job, we likely would not use this in the future. The size was the main issue as we had to reload the sprayer numerous times. This size sprayer works decent for smaller jobs, but going forward we will likely use a sprayer like this. Since we are using an oil-based stain, it is important that the fence boards are dry. So if it has recently rained, or if the fence was recently put up using freshly cut boards, make sure you give the fence enough time to dry out. Another step I've seen others do, typically in wetter climates, is pre-treating the fence, typically with a diluted bleach mixture to kill anything growing on the fence. As you can see, we are having a hard enough time to just get the grass to grow. I seriously doubt anything is growing on our fence, so we are going to forgo that step. After spraying, we followed up with a natural bristle brush to even out the coat. One drawback with this stain is that it tends to fade quickly. Here's the side of the fence that was stained about 9 months ago. Before we test the flammability, let's make a small batch of our original mixture. 3 parts oil, 1 part diesel, and 1 part paint thinner. Since we know that diesel is not as flammable as gasoline, we wanted to try another mixture using just paint thinner as the solvent. This new mixture is 3 parts oil and 2 parts paint thinner. We also had a couple of control samples, one of just paint thinner and the other of some store-bought fed stain. If you didn't fall asleep in science class, these results will probably not shock you, but none of these liquids would light using a soft flame from a lighter. In fact, you could probably catch the fence on fire first before these would light. Now, I wouldn't go put any fires out with these liquids because all of them are combustible. In fact, we could probably get them to light using a lighter. It would just take a good amount of time of holding that flame before these liquids would reach their flash point. We can speed up this process with a hotter flame, so let's turn up the heat a little bit with a torch. Let me know in the comments if y'all would use homemade stain on your fence. If you're enjoying content like this, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel.